I never thought my words had that much power. But they did. I told my daughter she'd fail without me, and now she's a CEO who won't even invite me to her wedding. That's right. My only child got married and didn't tell me until 6 months later. When Santa said she wanted to move to Austin and start some tech company, I laughed right in her face. Told her she'd come crawling back within a month. That's how I always talked to her. Hard truths, no sugar coating. I called it love. She called it cruel. Now she's on magazine covers while I sit alone in my empty house in Clarksdale. The worst part? I didn't even realize what I'd done until it was too late. I'm staring at my daughter's face on the cover of Business Today for the 5th time today. Sana Duverne, founder and CEO of Green Step Technologies. The magazine calls her the rising star of sustainable tech. My daughter. My little girl who I raised alone in Clarksdale, Mississippi. The same daughter who hasn't returned my calls in 8 months. I try her number again, watching the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across my living room. It rings once before jumping straight to voicemail, just like the last dozen times. She's blocked me again. This is Santa. I can't take your call right now. Please leave a message or contact me at my business email for urgent matters. Her voice sounds different now. Confident, professional, no trace of Mississippi left in it. I hang up without leaving a message. What would I even say? It's been nearly 2 years since we had a real conversation. The house feels too quiet, too empty. I used to fill it with advice and warnings and what I called honest love. Now I just fill it with television noise and memories that sting more with each passing day. I never thought she'd actually leave me behind. Parents are supposed to know best, aren't they? That's what I always believed. That's what I told the hundreds of students who passed through my office during my 26 years as a guidance counselor at Clarksdale High. Be realistic. Keep your feet on the ground. Dream, but dream smart. Santa was different from the beginning. Always with her head in the clouds, always with those computers. I remember her at 15, sitting cross-legged on her bed, surrounded by computer parts. "What are you doing with all that junk?" I'd asked. She'd looked up, eyes bright with excitement. "Building a server, Mama," she'd said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "I'm setting up a network for the whole house. And who's going to clean up this mess? Who's going to pay for it when you break something expensive?" I'd responded. The light in her eyes had dimmed a little. I thought I was teaching her responsibility. I didn't know I was teaching her to hide her dreams from me. All through high school, I kept her on track, made her join debate club instead of computer club. Computers are for playing games. Public speaking is a real skill. Pushed her toward practical college majors. Engineering maybe, or business. Computer science won't get you anywhere in Mississippi. I was the guidance counselor. I knew which paths led to success and which led to disappointment. At least that's what I told myself. The day she graduated from Ole Miss, she came home with that look on her face. That determined, excited look that always made me nervous. We were sitting at our kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped her with homework, where I'd lectured her about practical life choices, where I'd warned her about the harshness of the real world. "I'm moving to Austin," she announced. "I've been developing an app that helps businesses track and reduce their carbon footprint. I've got some interest from investors." I laughed. I actually laughed at my own daughter's dream. Austin, Texas, with all those tech bros and hipsters. "And what do you know about carbon footprints or running a business? You'll burn through whatever little savings you have in a month." Her face had hardened then in a way I'd never seen before. "I've been working on this for 2 years, Mama. I've already got a prototype and preliminary investor meetings set up." 2 years behind my back. I felt betrayed, like she'd been keeping secrets. But now I understand she'd been protecting herself from exactly what happened next. "You'll be nothing without me, Santa," I said, my voice sharp with what I thought was wisdom. "You'll be back begging for help within a month. The real world isn't kind to dreamers." The words hung between us like a physical thing. I can still see her face changing as I said them, something breaking and reforming into something harder. I didn't know it then, but that was the moment I lost her. "Maybe you're right, Mama," she'd said quietly. "But I'd rather fail on my own than succeed your way." She packed her things that night. I watched from the doorway, giving more unwanted advice as she folded her clothes. Telling her she was making a mistake. Telling her she needed to be practical. Telling her everything except what I should have said. that I was proud of her courage, that I believed in her, that I was just scared for her because the world had been hard on me. When she carried her suitcases to the front door, I thought she'd break. I thought she'd realize she couldn't make it on her own. I was waiting for her to ask for help, waiting to swoop in and save her. Instead, she hugged me briefly and said, "I'll call when I get there." She did call when she arrived in Austin, and a few times after that, short formal conversations that grew more strained each time. I kept waiting for the call where she'd admit defeat. It never came. 3 months of silence passed before I checked her social media. There she was, smiling in front of a small office with a sign, Green Step Technologies. I called immediately. "I see your little company has an office now," I said when she answered. "That was quick, just don't get ahead of yourself here. Most startups fail in the first year." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long I thought we'd been disconnected. "Thanks for the vote of confidence, Mama," she finally said, her voice distant. "I've got to go, I have a meeting." That became our pattern. Her success growing, my comments getting more pointed, her responses getting shorter. Me never able to just say I was wrong. Me never able to simply be happy for her without adding a warning. Me becoming more like my own mother with every word. 1 month after Santa left, I rearranged her bedroom. Just temporarily, I told myself. She'd be back soon enough, tail between her legs. I moved her desk against the wall, put her old computer in the closet, and set up my sewing machine where her gaming chair used to be. Just until she returned and needed her space back. By month 3, I'd stopped keeping her favorite cereal in the pantry. By month 6, I'd painted over the tech company logos she'd stenciled on her bedroom wall. I kept telling myself I wasn't upset. I was just being practical, the way I'd always been. The way someone in this family needed to be. Every morning, I checked my phone for missed calls. Every afternoon, I told myself I was glad she was learning independence the hard way. Every night, I wondered why she hadn't given up yet. The school year started, my 27th at Clarksdale High. The familiar rhythm should have been comforting, but nothing felt the same. I found myself snapping at students who reminded me of Santa, brilliant kids with impractical dreams. I caught myself mid-sentence once, telling a promising young artist that art doesn't pay bills, and saw my mother's face in the mirror behind my desk. By Thanksgiving, the new principal had called me into his office twice about my negative approach with the students. By Christmas, the parents were complaining. "Ms. Duverne," Principal Whitaker said during our third meeting, "times are changing. We need to encourage creativity and entrepreneurship in our students, not just traditional paths. These kids need reality checks, not fairy tales," I replied, my voice sharper than I intended. "I've been doing this job since you were in high school, Robert." He'd sighed and slid a paper across his desk. A formal reprimand. My first in 27 years. I called Santa that night, hoping to hear a voice that would understand my frustration. The call went to voicemail immediately. I left no message. January brought a school board meeting where 3 parents questioned my fitness as a guidance counselor. February brought another reprimand when I told a senior boy that his dream of becoming a YouTube star was foolish and immature. By March, I was called in for a final warning. I quit before they could fire me. Early retirement, I called it when neighbors asked. Taking time for myself after decades of service. The truth was, I couldn't recognize the school anymore with its coding clubs and entrepreneurship programs and talk of following passions. Or maybe I couldn't recognize myself. With work gone, the silence in my house grew deeper. I filled my days with small tasks and reality TV. I joined the church choir but quit after 3 weeks when the director said my voice was overpowering the other altos. I volunteered at the library but stopped when they wanted me to help with the children's computer lab. Too many memories there. 8 months after Santa left, I saw her face online for the first time. Not on her personal page, which had gone quiet, but on a tech news website. Austin startup Green Step Technologies secures $1.2 million in seed funding. There was my daughter in a blazer and jeans, standing tall beside 2 men in suits, all smiles and confidence. The article called her a visionary and praised her innovative approach to corporate sustainability tracking. I called immediately. I was surprised when she actually answered. "I saw the news," I said, trying to sound casual. "That's quite a bit of money." "Yes, it is," she replied, her voice guarded. Well, I hope you've got a good financial advisor. Money like that disappears fast if you're not careful. The silence stretched between us. Thanks for the advice, Mama, she finally said. Is that all you called to say? I wanted to tell her I was proud. I wanted to say I missed her. Instead, I said, just looking out for you. Someone has to keep you grounded. I've got to go, she replied. I have investors waiting. The calls grew less frequent after that. She stopped answering most of the time. When she did, our conversations were brief and tense. I told myself she was just busy, that she'd appreciate my candor eventually, that she'd understand I was just trying to protect her from disappointment. Summer came and went. Autumn followed. I watched Santa's company grow through occasional social media posts and business news articles. Each success felt like both a victory and a betrayal. My daughter was thriving, but she was doing it without me, despite me. In December, just before Christmas, my church friend Marlene mentioned that her niece in Austin had taken a job with some environmental tech company run by a smart young black woman from Mississippi. Would that be Green Step Technologies? I asked, my heart quickening. That's the one, Marlene exclaimed. My niece loves working there, says the CEO is brilliant. Some girl from right here in Mississippi, can you believe it? That's my daughter, I said, unable to keep the pride from my voice. Santa Duvernay, Marlene's eyes widened. Loretta, why didn't you ever tell us? We should celebrate. You must be so proud. Of course I am, I lied, forcing a smile. Cynthia, my niece, she mentioned they had a company Christmas party last week. Said the CEO's new husband gave the sweetest toast. The world seemed to freeze. Husband, Marlene's smile faltered. Oh, I thought you would know. Cynthia mentioned they got married a few months back. Small ceremony, I think. I don't remember how I ended the conversation or how I got home. I only remember sitting in my car in my driveway, staring at my phone, at the last text message Santa had sent me 5 months earlier. Everything's fine, Mama. Really busy with work. We'll call when things slow down. My daughter had gotten married and I hadn't been told. Hadn't been invited. Hadn't even known she was serious about anyone. That night, I called her 7 times. Each call went straight to voicemail. I sent 3 texts. No response. The next morning, I checked her social media accounts properly for the first time in months. There, buried in photos from October, was a single wedding picture. Santa in a simple white dress, smiling up at a tall man I'd never seen before. They stood in what looked like a courthouse, gold bands gleaming on their intertwined fingers. The caption read, "Starting a new chapter with David. Small, private, perfect. Small, private. Without her mother." I sat there scrolling through months of her life I'd missed, work events, a vacation to Colorado, dinner parties with people I didn't know, a new apartment with wide windows and modern furniture. A life built without me in it. I booked the flight to Austin that same night. Some situations can't be handled over the phone, and this was one of them. My daughter getting married without telling me, without inviting me, that wasn't just hurtful, it was disrespectful. After everything I'd sacrificed as a single mother, I deserved better. At the very least, I deserved an explanation. The flight was only 2 hours, but it felt like forever. I rehearsed what I would say, how I would be calm but firm, how I would explain that families don't treat each other this way, that she could be angry with me, but cutting me out completely was taking things too far. I took a taxi straight from the airport to the address I'd found for Green Step Technologies. The building was nicer than I expected, all glass and steel in a trendy area of downtown Austin. The lobby directory listed her company on the 4th floor. My heart pounded as the elevator rose. What would she say when she saw me? Would she be embarrassed, apologetic, angry? I straightened my blouse and patted my braids, making sure the bun was secure. I wanted to look put together, in control. The elevator doors opened onto a bright, open office space with plants everywhere and people working at clustered desks. A young white woman sat at a reception desk with the Green Step logo behind her. "I'm here to see Santa Duvernay," I announced, keeping my voice steady. The receptionist smiled. "Do you have an appointment?" "I don't need an appointment. I'm her mother." The smile faltered slightly. "Let me see if Ms. Duvernay is available." She picked up her phone and spoke quietly into it, her eyes never leaving me. After a moment, she placed the phone down. I'm sorry Ms. Duvernay is in meetings all day. Perhaps you could come back another time, or I could schedule something for later this week. Don't give me that. Tell my daughter her mother is here to see her. My voice was rising despite my best intentions. The receptionist's smile disappeared completely. I'm sorry, but if you don't have an appointment, I'll need to ask you to leave. I am not leaving until I see my daughter, I insisted, stepping toward her desk. She pressed a button on her desk, and within moments a security guard appeared by the elevator. Is there a problem here? He asked, looking between us. I couldn't believe what was happening. The problem is that I've flown all the way from Mississippi to see my daughter, and this woman won't let me in. The security guard stepped closer. Ma'am, if you don't have an appointment, I'm going to have to escort you downstairs. This is ridiculous, I said, my voice shaking now. Sana Duvernay is my daughter, just tell her Loretta is here. As the guard took my elbow, a door opened at the back of the office. And there she was, Sana, in a navy blue suit with her hair in a sleek, short cut I'd never seen before, looking so much like me and yet nothing like me at all. Our eyes met across the room, and for a moment neither of us moved. Sana, I called, pulling away from the guard. Tell them who I am. She walked toward us slowly, her face carefully composed. It's all right, Marcus, she said to the guard. I know her. The guard stepped back and Sana turned to the receptionist. Emma, can you reschedule my 2 o'clock and please let David know I'll be out of the office for about an hour. Then she looked at me, not with the warmth I'd hoped for, not with the guilt I'd expected, but with something worse, polite distance. Let's get coffee, she said. There's a place downstairs. We rode the elevator in silence. Found a table in the back of a busy coffee shop. Ordered drinks neither of us seemed interested in. And finally, face to face after all this time, I didn't know what to say. She spoke first. Why are you here, Mama? Why am I here? You got married, Sana, married, and I had to hear about it from Marlene Thompson's niece. Her niece knew before your own mother. Sana sipped her latte carefully. We kept it small, just close friends. I'm not a close friend. I'm your mother, your only family. You haven't exactly been supportive of my life choices. The unfairness of it stung. I raised you alone after your father left. I put food on the table, clothes on your back, a roof over your head. I made sure you got a good education. And you never let me forget it, she replied, her voice low but steady. Every dream I had, you shot down. Every idea I shared, you mocked. Do you know what you said when I told you about my company? I was trying to protect you from disappointment. You laughed in my face, Mama. You told me I'd fail without you. I shifted uncomfortably. I was just being realistic. No, you were being cruel. The words hung between us. You've been cruel my whole life and you can't even see it. That's not fair, I protested. I pushed you because the world is hard, especially for Black women. I didn't want you getting hurt. But you were the one hurting me. Her eyes were shining now. Every time I accomplished something, you found the flaw. Every time I was happy, you warned me it wouldn't last. That's not true, I said, but even as the words left my mouth, memories surfaced. Her excitement over making the robotics team in high school, me asking if she'd keep up her grades. Her first coding competition win, me pointing out that the cash prize was small. Her college graduation, me worrying aloud about student loans instead of celebrating. When David proposed, Sana continued, do you know what my first thought was? Not joy. Not excitement. My first thought was, what would Mama find wrong with him? That's when I knew I couldn't invite you to the wedding. I couldn't have your voice in my head on the happiest day of my life. The truth of her words hit me like a physical blow. So you just cut me out without even giving me a chance. I gave you chances for 24 years, Mama. 24 years of trying to earn your approval. I'm done trying. I felt my defenses rising. So I'm supposed to just pretend everything's fine. That my only child didn't exclude me from her wedding, that you didn't hide your whole life from me. I'm not asking you to pretend anything. I'm telling you why things are the way they are. Well, I think you owe me more than that. After everything I sacrificed for you, you owe me respect at the very least. Something hardened in her eyes. I don't owe you anything, not anymore. You raised me, yes, but that doesn't give you the right to control me or put me down for the rest of my life. I never tried to control you. I just wanted what was best for you. No, Mama, you wanted what you thought was best. There's a difference. She glanced at her watch. I need to get back to work. So that's it. I flew all this way for a 20-minute conversation. What did you expect? That I'd break down crying, beg your forgiveness for living my life, invite you to move in with us? She shook her head. I've worked hard to build a life where I feel valued and supported. I'm not letting anyone threaten that, not even you. She stood up, gathering her things. My flight back's not until tomorrow, I said, adding the pleading note in my voice. Then I suggest you enjoy Austin. It's a lovely city. She placed some money on the table for the coffee. Goodbye, Mama. I watched her walk away, my daughter who wasn't just doing fine without me but thriving. My daughter who had become a stranger while I wasn't looking. On the flight home, all I could think about was how she'd looked. Strong. Confident, successful, everything I'd wanted for her, achieved in spite of me rather than because of me. The realization was a bitter pill I wasn't ready to swallow. I came home from Austin to an empty house that felt emptier than before. For 3 days, I barely left my bedroom. What was the point? My career was over. My daughter wanted nothing to do with me. I'd spent my whole life believing I was protecting her, preparing her for a harsh world, only to discover I was the harshness she needed protection from. On the 4th day, a sharp pain in my chest woke me from a fitful sleep. At first, I thought it was just heartbreak made physical. But when the pain radiated down my left arm and my breathing became labored, I knew it was something else. I managed to call 911 before collapsing on my kitchen floor. I woke up in Clarksdale General Hospital, hooked to monitors, with a concerned doctor telling me I'd had a minor heart attack. A warning, he called it. Your body telling you to make changes. I asked the nurse to call Santa, then immediately regretted it. What would I even say to her? That her stubborn mother had worked herself into a heart attack? That would only confirm her decision to keep her distance. When the nurse returned and said she couldn't reach my emergency contact, I told her not to try again. My daughter's very busy, I explained, the words bitter on my tongue. 3 days in the hospital gave me a lot of time to think, to remember, the way my own mother had treated me, always critical, never satisfied. How I'd promised myself I'd be different with my own children. How somewhere along the way, I'd broken that promise without even noticing. Dr. Wilson recommended cardiac rehabilitation and, surprisingly, therapy. Stress is a killer, Ms. Duvernay, he said. And from what you've told me, you've got plenty of it. I wanted to argue that I didn't need someone poking around in my head, but the truth was I did. I needed someone to help me understand how I'd become the very thing I'd sworn I would never be. My first therapy session was awkward. Dr. Patterson was younger than me, a white woman with kind eyes and direct questions that made me squirm. Tell me about your relationship with your mother, she asked early in our first session. She was strict, old school, believed children should be seen and not heard. How did that make you feel as a child? The question caught me off guard. No one had ever asked me that before. Invisible, I guess, like nothing I did was ever good enough. And how would you describe your relationship with your daughter? Different, I said automatically. I supported her, put her through college, always made sure she had what she needed. Material support is important, Dr. Patterson agreed. But what about emotional support? The question hung in the air between us. I thought about all the times Santa had come to me excited about something, and how quickly I'd tamped down that excitement with practical concerns. All the times she'd shared her dreams, and I'd responded with warnings instead of encouragement. I thought I was protecting her, I whispered. From what? Disappointment. Failure. The world is hard on Black women. I didn't want her to get hurt. It sounds like you were trying to protect her from the pain you experienced. The simple truth of it hit me like a wave. I'd been so focused on preparing Santa for the world's cruelty that I'd never considered she might need protection from mine. Over the next few weeks, as my heart slowly healed, Dr. Patterson helped me see patterns I'd been blind to my whole life. How my mother's criticism had become my inner voice. How my fear of Santa getting hurt had led me to hurt her first. How my need for control came from feeling so out of control in my own childhood. It was during my 2nd month of therapy that I met Gloria at cardiac rehab. She was a few years older than me, recovering from bypass surgery with a quiet strength I admired immediately. My son's picking me up today, she mentioned as we walked slowly on adjacent treadmills. He moved his whole family from Chicago to help take care of me. You must be close, I said, a twinge of envy in my voice. We are now, she replied. But we weren't always, didn't speak for almost 5 years. I nearly stumbled on the treadmill. 5 years, what happened? Gloria's pace never faltered. I wouldn't accept him for who he was, always trying to make him someone else. When he came out to me, I said some terrible things I can never take back. It took a stroke for me to realize what really mattered. How did you fix it? I asked, desperate for her answer. I stopped trying to be right and started trying to be loving. She smiled sadly. And I apologized, really apologized without excuses. Then I gave him space to decide if he wanted me back in his life. And he chose to let you back in, I said. Eventually, with boundary, it took time to rebuild trust. Trust, such a fragile thing, so easily broken, so difficult to repair. That night I tried to write a letter to Santa. I started and restarted a dozen times. Each attempt sounded defensive, each explanation an excuse. I only wanted what was best for you. I was trying to prepare you for the real world. If you could understand how my mother treated me, all excuses, all ways of avoiding the simple truth, I had hurt my daughter repeatedly and never once acknowledged it. I set the letter aside unfinished. It wasn't right yet. I wasn't ready yet. The weeks passed. I joined a community garden group, started volunteering at the public library again, this time helping adults learn basic computer skills. Found a church where the choir director appreciated my strong alto. Small steps toward building a life that wasn't defined by my career or my role as a mother, doctor. Patterson encouraged me to reflect on positive memories with Santa, not just the conflicts. Slowly, painfully, I remembered moments I'd long buried. Her first steps, toddling toward me with absolute trust in her eyes. Teaching her to read, her small finger tracing letters under mine. A rare camping trip when she was 10. Just the two of us under the stars, talking about constellations and possibilities. There had been love there, real love. When had I started confusing criticism with caring? One evening in late spring, I was watching television when Santa's face appeared on the screen. She was being interviewed on a business news program about Green Step's latest expansion. What drives you as an entrepreneur? The interviewer asked. Santa smiled, confident and poised. I believe in creating solutions, not just identifying problems. And I believe in myself, which wasn't always easy. I had to learn to believe in my vision when no one else would. The words hit me like a physical blow. No one else, not even her mother. Especially not her mother. I turned off the TV and sat in the growing darkness of my living room. Something had cracked open inside me, something that had been sealed tight for years. Real grief, real remorse. Not for what I'd lost, but for what I'd done. That night I dreamed of my own mother standing over me as I struggled with homework, saying, "You'll never amount to anything if you can't even solve a simple math problem." I woke up with tears on my face, finally understanding the full circle of pain I'd perpetuated. The next morning I sat down and wrote a new letter to Santa. No excuses this time. No justifications, just the truth. The letter I finally wrote to Santa was the hardest thing I've ever written. Not because the words were difficult to find, but because once found they were impossible to hide behind. Dear Santa, I wrote, I am sorry, not sorry that you left or sorry that we argued or sorry that things turned out this way. I am sorry for what I did, for years of criticism disguised as love, for making you feel like you were never enough, for not seeing you clearly and loving what I saw. I was wrong in how I treated you. I am only now beginning to understand how much I hurt you, and that understanding brings me great shame. I went on, confessing how I'd become my own mother despite swearing I never would. How fear had made me cruel, how I'd projected my own insecurities onto her dreams. How I'd been too proud to celebrate her success because it proved how wrong I had been. I don't expect forgiveness, I continued. I don't even expect a response. I just needed you to know that I see my mistakes now. I'm working to understand why I made them and how to be better. You deserved a mother who built you up, not one who tore you down. You deserved celebration, not criticism. You deserved better than what I gave you. I ended the letter simply, I am proud of you, not because of what you've achieved, though that is remarkable, but because of who you are. Strong enough to break the cycle, brave enough to pursue your dreams despite my doubts, wise enough to protect your peace even from me. Love, Mama. I sent the letter with just one additional item, a photograph I found while cleaning out my closet. Santa at 7 years old, sitting on my lap at a community picnic. Both of us laughing at something long forgot, her small hands clasped in mine, my arms wrapped securely around her. A moment when we were truly happy together before my fears clouded everything. I mailed the package and tried not to expect anything in return. This wasn't about getting my daughter back. It was about acknowledging the truth, whatever happened next. While I waited, life continued. I joined a mentoring program for girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Girls with dreams too big for their circumstances, with potential often overlooked. I found myself doing everything differently with them than I had with Santa. Listening more, judging less. Celebrating their ambitions instead of warning them about obstacles. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I met with Latisha, a 16-year-old with a gift for computer programming and nowhere to practice except the public library. I drove her to coding workshops at the community college, praised her persistence when she tackled difficult problems, said all the things I should have said to my own daughter. "Miss Letty," she asked me one day, "why'd you decide to volunteer with us? You don't even have kids at the school." The question caught me off guard with its innocence. "I'm trying to do better," I answered honestly. "I made mistakes with my own daughter, big ones. I'm hoping to learn as much from you girls as you learn from me." 3 months passed with no word from Santa. I told myself that was okay. The letter had been about giving, not receiving, about truth, not reconciliation. Then one morning in July, an email appeared in my inbox. From S. Duvernay at Greenstep, Tech. My hands shook so badly I could hardly click to open it. "Mama," it read. "I received your letter. Thank you for your honesty. It couldn't have been easy to write. I need time to process everything, but I wanted you to know I got it. Santa." Short, direct, no promises, but communication nonetheless. I read those few sentences 100 times, searching for clues about her feelings. Was she still angry? Had my words touched her at all? Would there ever be a path back to each other? A week later, a package arrived. Inside was a business card with Santa's contact information and a simple note card that read, "If you'd like to visit Austin again, let me know. We could have dinner. Boundaries will need to be discussed." I called Gloria immediately. "She's willing to see me," I said, my voice shaking. "After everything, she's willing to see me." "That's grace," Gloria replied. "Don't waste it." We arranged the visit carefully. I would stay at a hotel, not her home. We would meet 3 times during my 4-day stay. Each meeting with a clear beginning and end time. Clear boundaries, just as she'd requested. The flight to Austin felt different this time. Not fueled by indignation, but tempered with hope and fear in equal measure. I'd packed and repacked my suitcase a dozen times, wanting to look put together but not imposing. Strong but not unyielding. This time, Santa met me in the lobby of her building. No security guards, no receptionist gatekeepers. Just my daughter extending her hand formally, then changing her mind and offering a brief, stiff hug. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice professional but not cold. "Thank you for inviting me," I replied, fighting the urge to smooth her collar or comment on her weight or do any of the 100 thoughtless things that had driven her away. She gave me a tour of her offices, introduced me to her team, showed me demonstrations of their technology. I made myself listen. Really listen without interrupting or questioning or warning, just witnessing my daughter in her element, confident and respected. "Your company is amazing," I said when the tour ended. "You've built something remarkable here." A flicker of surprise crossed her face, quickly masked. "Thank you." The conversation was careful at first. Surface-level updates about Clarksdale, questions about Austin. Gradual expansions into more personal territory as we shared a quiet dinner at a restaurant near her office. "I'm seeing a therapist," I told her over dessert. "Learning a lot about myself, about why I treated you the way I did." She nodded slowly. "I did the same, needed to understand why I allowed your voice to live in my head for so long." "I'm sorry it came to that," I said. "I am too." She paused, studying her coffee. "But I'm also grateful in a way. Having to prove myself without your approval taught me to trust myself, to believe in my own vision." "You always were stronger than I gave you credit for," I admitted. She smiled slightly. I get that from you, the strength, just had to use it differently. By our third meeting, the formal edges had softened somewhat. She showed me photos of her life with David, their apartment, their rescue dog, the community garden where they volunteered. He seems good for you, I said, nodding her relaxed smile in every picture with him. He believes in me. The unspoken comparison hung between us. I chose not to defend myself, not to explain, just to acknowledge. I'm glad, I said simply. You deserve that. When it was time for me to leave, we stood awkwardly in the hotel lobby, neither sure how to end this new beginning. This visit went better than last time, she said with a small smile. A very low bar, I replied, and we both laughed briefly. I can't promise anything, Mama, she said, serious again. This is going to take time. I have boundaries now that need to be respected. I understand. She hesitated, then added, but maybe we could talk once a month. Phone calls to start, see how it goes. Hope bloomed in my chest. I'd like that very much. The hug she gave me then was still reserved, but real. Not the full reconciliation I might have wished for, but a door left open. A possibility. In the months since, we've kept to that schedule. One call a month, gradually increasing in length and depth. I've met her husband via video chat. She's asked about my mentoring work. Small steps towards something new. I still catch myself sometimes about to make a critical remark or voice a doubt. The habits of a lifetime don't disappear overnight. But now I recognize them for what they are, my fears, not her reality. I breathe, I reconsider, I choose different words. Yesterday, Santa called off schedule. Just to check in, she said, to see how I was doing after a minor surgery I'd mentioned in our last conversation. A small thing, but enormous in its significance. When we said goodbye, she hesitated. Take care of yourself, Mama. I'll talk to you soon. It wasn't forgiveness, not exactly, but it was care. It was connection. It was a daughter who still had space in her heart for her imperfect mother. I still have the magazine with her on the cover. But now it sits beside other mementos. A business card with her direct line written on the back. A photo of her and David sent as an email attachment. Small tokens of a relationship being rebuilt, slowly and carefully, with new understanding on both sides. I told my daughter she'd fail without me, and she proved me wrong in the most painful way possible. But in doing so, she also gave me the most precious gift, the chance to fail, learn, and try again. To become the mother she always deserved, even if decades too late. Last week, she ended our call with words I'd never thought I'd hear again. Love you, Mama. I love you too, I replied, my voice thick with tears. I always have, I just didn't know how to show it right. We're learning, she said softly, both of us. And we are. One conversation, one truth, one moment of grace at a time.